This week on Engage the Sage.
Hi everyone, I'm Don Saucier. Welcome to this week's episode of Engage the Sage. It's about to the end of our semester. It's been a long semester, and at the end, I like to reflect on the semester that happened. And what I'm going to share with you today are a few of my favorite things from this past semester. This semester, I'm teaching 3 courses. I'm teaching my undergraduate course in advanced social psychology. I'm teaching a principles of college teaching course in which we help people learn how to teach college courses. And I'm teaching a practicum in teaching psychology. Across those 3 courses, I have wonderful students. I have students who want to learn about social psychology. I have students who want to learn to teach, and they share with me wonderful things throughout the entire semester. And it's chaotic right now. We have all the assignments coming in at the end. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you and with them a few of my favorite things that I learned from teaching and learning with them this semester. I like top 10 lists. So what I'm going to do is I've organized into a top 10 a few of my favorite things from teaching this semester. Number 10, one of my favorite things is the videos stayed on in my classes. If you've seen before, I have an empathetic Zoom approach where my students are not required to keep their videos on, but I strongly encourage it. And I let them know that having those videos stay on when we're teaching over Zoom allows me to connect to them and to teach them better. And they listened. And especially in my Principles of College teaching class, it was so gratifying and heartening to be able to connect a little bit with my students over Zoom by having those videos stay on. My number 9 favorite thing from this past semester was an instance of unmuted profanity in my advanced social psychology class. So, in my advanced social psychology class, I was talking about people doing things they shouldn't do, people exhibiting prejudice in their behavior. And at this point, I kind of heard that a couple of my students were learning together at home in a Zoom room. And one of the students asked the other student for clarification on something, and the student talked about the prejudice behavior that I said they probably shouldn't do. And the student said, "Well, I wouldn't do that." At which point, everybody in the class got to hear that over Zoom. And my only response was, yeah, I wouldn't do that either. So I really like the candor of that moment. It was one of the highlights of my semester to hear that student have a genuine reaction to the stuff that we were learning together. My 8th favorite moment from teaching this semester comes from a student in my practicum in teaching psychology class. This student caught a couple of her students engaging in some academic dishonesty, and the professionalism and guidance and support that she provided not only to herself but to the students that she was navigating through that situation was astounding. And one of the things it reminded me of is that I take a lot of inspiration from learning about teaching from the students that I'm presumably teaching to teach. So I really want to thank that student for doing such wonderful things throughout that very difficult situation. My number 7 moment, one of my favorite things for teaching this semester, is similar. We have teaching demonstrations in a couple of my classes where students show us how they teach. One of my students, student named Brent, did such a good job in showing us how to teach that at the Teaching and Learning Center, we now use it as a video for how to establish community and relationships and connections in your class. It was just so wonderful to see Brent excel in his teaching in that way. My number 6 favorite moment of teaching this semester is seeing all the assignments come in. One of the things I've told y'all before is that don't ever give an assignment that you're not looking forward to your students submitting, because they're going to come back to you. And so many wonderful assignments came back to me this semester. The helping missions and the social justice missions in my advanced social psychology class, where students use the principles from that class to better their world, were just amazing. The reflection assignments that my students completed every week, where they told me about the thoughts and the questions they had about the material, were so inspiring and created such wonderful and productive discussion. And in my Principles of College teaching class, seeing my students create wonderful teaching philosophies and even quote graphics and video dialogues about those teaching philosophies was just so wonderful to see them grow into their own as teachers. My number 5 favorite thing from teaching this semester were the questions that my students asked. Throughout the entire semester, either part of the weekly reflections that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, or the questions that just came up organically. The questions that students asked not only allowed me to have conversations with them to extend their learning, but it helped me to extend my thinking about things that I've thought about for a really long time. And I get to experience a sophistication and a nuance in those ideas like I haven't before. So I really appreciate my students asking those questions to help me learn my material better. My number 4 favorite thing from this semester was the experiences that my students shared with me in relation to the course content. So whether they're very vulnerable experiences about their experiences of prejudice or stigma, whether it's very candid experiences about the difficulties that they've had in teaching and in learning, or whether it's examples of the social psychological phenomena that we were talking about. These really brought the information to life, not only for me, but for the other students in the classes that we taught this semester. One of the favorite experiences that was shared with me comes from one of my students named Lena, who has an amazing dad. When we talk about pro-social behavior, we talk about why people help and the consequences they're helping. Lena shared with me some heroic things that her dad has done. Apparently, her dad does heroic things all the time. He saved a woman from being abducted. He did a lot of other things, but one of my favorites is on the day he got married, driving to the church, he saw a car go off the side of the road and into a lake. And in his tuxedo, he dove into the water to save the individual who drove their car into the lake. So Lena's dad will be immortalized in my advanced social psychology classes moving forward as an example of heroic behavior. And thank you, Lena, for sharing that story with me. My number three favorite thing from teaching this semester are my end of the semester assignments that are actually starting to trickle in, but they're not even all in yet. I love to have assignments where students tell me what they learn. So give me a reflection back on the top 10 things that they learned this semester, their favorite moments from class. And those are starting to come in now. And they're so gratifying and so fulfilling to see the kinds of things that my students are taking away from our learning experiences together. One of the most powerful demonstrations of this at the end of the semester in my advanced social psychology class is my students do what we call homework for life PSAs, so public service announcements, where what they do is they make a message to the world, either in writing or in video, about how they would take the learning that they've done in advanced social psychology to better their world. And I love seeing these come in and seeing these wonderfully personal, genuine, creative ways to take that course knowledge and use it for social good. My number two favorite thing from teaching this semester are all the Zoom guests. One of the things that I think is really important is never apologize for kind of intrusions into Zoom. Kids and pets are some of the best part. So seeing Christina's kids, seeing Melissa's kids, seeing Noah's cat go across the screen during my Zoom classes with students, this is some of the favorite moments that I've had because it's a little bit of an introduction into the lives that my students have. And one of the things that I've heard people say before is that good teachers teach content and great teachers teach people. All of these kind of Zoom visitors and Zoom guests let me meet my students a little bit more as people. So whether it's kids, whether it's cats and dogs, whether it's Sophie's snake, or even Brooke's 115 plants, thank you so much for letting me see a little glimpse into your life. I feel more connected to you as a result. My number one favorite thing from this semester in teaching is working with some of the greatest teaching assistants on the planet. And for instance, Noah Rankin in my advanced social psychology class and Tucker Jones in my principles of college teaching class, these individuals are absolute superheroes in teaching. And they made those classes excellent experiences for me as the teacher and hopefully excellent experiences for the students who took those classes. But I am so grateful for all of the support, the help, the innovation, and the creativity that Noah and Tucker provided this semester, and working with them is one of the biggest highlights of my career. And I have one more. I have one more bonus thing. It's one of my favorite things from teaching this semester. A couple of times every semester, and this is awesome that this happens, is a student will tell me, hey, you taught me something that was really inspirational for me. It allowed me to think about or understand something in my own life. I've had students tell me this semester, and this is really powerful moments, that I was the best professor they'd had, their favorite teacher, their favorite class. And I even had one student recently tell me that they're rethinking their career plans and goals based on the content they learned with me. So one of the things that I want to share is that this is really a touching moment for those of us in teaching to hear this from our students. So for all of you listening, I want you to reach out to a teacher that you had that you can say this about genuinely and let them know the impact that they've had on you. It is so meaningful for them, and it's so meaningful for us as former students or as students right now to think about the learning that we've done with great people. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about a few of my favorite things from teaching this semester. I encourage you all to reflect on your own semesters. Think about your favorite things from teaching and learning this semesters. And if you're comfortable, share them with the people that you did the teaching and learning with. In the comments below, I'm excited to hear about a few of your favorite things from teaching and learning this past semester. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, share us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Engage the Sage.